Since the ruling, though, the other problem for them is that the ruling turns out not to be a narrowly focused one. Some of the initial analysis about what the court did said it was a very narrowly focused ruling, so maybe that would limit its political and practical impact. Turns out, despite those first impressions, the ruling is not at all just about the few specific forms of birth control that the Hobby Lobby owners don't like at their arts and crafts superstore. Turns out the ruling really does apply to all birth control, full stop. Your boss can stop your access to all of it. The Supreme Court issued their decision on Monday, just after 10 a.m. Eastern. That ruling specifically mentioned 2 forms of the morning after pill and 2 forms of the IUD. Oh, and so maybe that's it? That's all this applies to? But then no, on Tuesday, the court made a much quieter series of subsequent moves concerning companies that oppose every kind of birth control. The court on Tuesday sent out orders pursuant to their ruling from the day before about cases where companies opposed to all birth control had lost their cases. On Tuesday, the Supreme Court sent out orders to lower courts telling them to take a new look at those cases about all contraceptive methods. I mean, however narrow the ruling might have looked on Monday on the face of it in the typed letters of the opinion itself, turns out the court made clear the next day it's not just about those few forms of birth control that Hobby Lobby doesn't like, it's about all birth control. So that's the second problem with Republicans celebrating this decision. Birth control is popular. Letting your boss be in charge of it is not popular. But now there is a third problem. There's another surprise still coming from the Supreme Court ruling on Monday. Since the ruling, religious groups have already started petitioning the government to say that your boss's religious beliefs can excuse him from following the law when it comes to health insurance regulations and Obamacare. If that's settled by the court, well, then these groups want their religious beliefs to excuse them from having to follow the law on not just contraception, not just health law rules, but on non-discrimination. They now, because of this ruling, want a religious exemption from laws that say you can't fire someone for being gay. They want to be able to fire people for being gay because they think God wants that. This was posted today by Molly Ball at The Atlantic. Conservative religious leaders asking President Obama to let federal contractors discriminate. The president's working on an executive order that would require federal contractors to not fire people just for being gay. These religious leaders say they would like a robust religious exemption from that. Look at Hobby Lobby. One of them tells The Atlantic that after the Hobby Lobby decision, quote, the administration does have a decision to make whether they want to recalibrate their approach to some of these issues. So the news this week is not just about a couple of forms of birth control. It is about not just about even every form of birth control. Turns out the news this week is about wanting the right to fire gay people for being gay, and it's about all birth control, and it's presumably about every other conceivable advantage that conservatives think they will be able to gain by calling what they want to do that's otherwise against the law a variety of religious freedom. It's already started. Justice Ginsburg's dissent about what that ruling meant is already coming true. The floodgates are already opening.